Hello, Southern California, and welcome to this week's edition of Right on the Money with Tom Mosley. I'm your host, Kristen Oakley, and I'm joined by Tom, who is the founder and president of Mosley Wealth Management. We've got a great show for you today. The title of today's show is How to Revamp Your Retirement in Just 12 Months. If you want to know how to do that, you're not going to want to miss today's show. Tom, my friend, great to be back in the studio with you. How are you today?
Always great to be with you, Kristen.
Well, thank you. I know you've put a lot of thought and effort into today's show, and really it stems from some statistics that we want to start off by sharing with all of you as well. You know, we've talked on the show before how a lot of folks are questioning and wondering, do I have enough saved up for retirement? Well, according to a 2022 Federal Reserve survey of consumer finances, the average retirement savings for people who are currently ages 55 to 64 is $537,000. But the median number of that group is only $185,000. Now, for people who are 65 to 74 in age, the average is $609,000, but the median number is only $200,000. So right off the bat, Tom, some alarm bells might be going off, right?
No, absolutely. There should be alarm because that's not enough money in most cases, especially in Southern California where we live. That's just generally not going to cut it unless you've got, well, let's talk about it. Never say never. You know, one guy came to me one time and he only had $150,000. That's pretty sad. He got laid off after 30-something years and thought it was a sad situation, and I use this in some of my live events. Go to our website, Mosley Wealth Management. You can come to some of our live events, and we'd be glad to meet you in person and talk to you. But I use this in there to drive home a point. Everybody says, no, the poor guy, he's really hurting. Well, this guy has got a big pension from a governmental, 𝗠cie. He's got a big social because he still paid Social Security. He bought 3 rental units in Yorba Linda and Placentia during his time when he was working, and they're completely paid for, and his house is paid for. This guy's got about $18,000 a month coming in, and he's got a budget of $2,000. So it goes back to not the lump sum is important, but what the income is important.
Yes.
Most of you don't have all of that, okay? I know because you come in and only 1 out of 6 people anymore has a pension, okay? It's not like when our parents were there when 63% of the people who are adults were covered by pensions. That day is gone. It's past. We missed it. We've got a lot of neat things in our day and time, but we missed that. So if you're behind, the whole thrust of this show is I'm behind. I want to admit that I'm behind. All progress starts by telling the truth about where you are right now. Just don't say, well, I'll do this or I'll do that. What are you going to do in the next 12 months to get yourself on track? That's what we're talking about.
Absolutely. And if I can brag on you for a minute, I know you have had shared stories with us in the past of folks who have come in who have been very behind, and maybe it wasn't their fault. Maybe they had a very unexpected life event happen, a traumatic divorce or an unexpected layoff. You have done what we're going to do today, the steps that we're going to talk about with folks, and I have watched you take someone's retirement and completely revamp it and turn things around in 12 months. So it is possible. So if you're feeling behind, we hope that this show will be an encouragement to you, but at the end of the day, it's about you taking action and working through these steps. But you don't have to go it alone. Tom and the team of Mosley Wealth Management would love to be able to help you do that. So I know you've got a tried and true, proven track record of how you help people revamp their retirements in just a year.
Yeah, it is. It's just an intense program of basically what we do over a longer period of time when we're just building a retirement blueprint. But let's talk about the first thing. The very first thing you need to do is get an assessment for where you are. If I'm going to travel from here anywhere, I've got to know where I'm at right now. And where you are right now financially depends on, I think, 3 big things. Number 1, what do I have coming in? That's your income. Where's my income coming from? Am I making the most I can out of my job? Do I have the best job? Do I need to get another part-time job for a little while to get myself on track? So number 1, in starting to build just a checkup, all right, is you need to assess what's coming in, but then not only with money isn't what's coming in, but what's going out. And that's the B word that we talk about, the budget. What are you spending on a monthly basis? You say, oh, Tom, I've heard this show so long, and I thought the budget was only something that came in retirement. No, no, no. You need a budget. You need to track what you're spending now. And everybody that I have that I work them up a budget with them or work them through that budgeting process, they say, wow, we can't believe we were spending that much each month on something that we don't consider as important, and we were only spending this much on something that we consider was more important. See, a budgeting process is a priority process. So of the money that's coming in, then you've got to say, where's that going? What money is going out? And then in that second half, that second part of money going out, ask yourself, how much debt am I carrying? Because debt is not only paying back what you borrowed, but paying back money on what you borrowed. So it's a double whammy. It's costing you interest. And the only person who has an interest in interest is the person getting interest, if you understand what I mean. Because they're making a mint off of most people. And some people are carrying credit cards, and maybe you missed one payment, and so instead of that 11.9 interest rate, it shot up to 28.9 or 29.9. Once it shoots up there, it stays there, okay? So comprehensive analysis of where you are right now starts with what's coming in, what's going out, and how much debt am I carrying.
Yep, that's where it has to start. Like you said, you have to know where you're starting from in order to figure out how to get to where you want to go. So that financial checkup, so important. All right, the next thing on the list of steps to help you revamp your retirement in just 12 months is to maximize your retirement plan contributions. This can make a huge difference, especially for people who are older, because we have the catch-up contributions available to us as well.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And I know who's serious out there, because you've gone and you've got a piece of paper and you're writing some of these things down. Let me just rattle off some of these things you need to look at. Do you have the opportunity at work to have a 401k or a 403b? What's the genius of a 401k or a 403b? It goes directly into that account and it never goes into your account. You don't have to turn around and write another check for it to go into a separate account or set up an automatic withdrawal for it to go into that separate account. So I find that the very best place, you say, Tom, you don't make any money off of a 401k or a 403b. No, but you do. You do, because the money goes in there directly. So set up some kind of involvement in your 401k and 403b. Write that down. You say, well, I don't have a 401k or a 403b. Then you probably have access to an IRA, an individual retirement account. A lot lower amounts can go into those, but it's still an option, okay? And you have the opportunity for a Roth. How much can go into those? In 2025, if you're over 50, you can put $31,000 into those accounts that you have at work, and into those IRAs and Roth IRAs, you can put $8,000. So if you want to revamp your retirement, you've not only got to take a picture of where you are, but you've got to start hiding money places. Hiding it. You say, who am I hiding it from? You're hiding it from yourself.
Right.
Because if you can get a hold of it, you've already proven you're going to spend it. So hide it by setting it up on an automatic withdrawal so it automatically goes into those things. There's some other things, like some people have an HSA account, a health savings account that allows you to put away money for retirement, and then you tap into that when you get into retirement, and you can pay for your health care, a spouse's health care, a family member's health care. Lots of nice advantages to those if one of those is available to you. But you've got to, number two, start putting money away. It's not just going to happen. It's not buying a better printing press so you can print dollars. That doesn't work, and it'll get you put in jail. You have to start saying, I'm going to start saving money.
Yes, and there's so many more steps that we're going to be working throughout today's show, but if someone's watching and going, you know what, I could use help putting these things in place to help me revamp my retirement, what would you say to them?
I'd say give us a call. We sit down with people all the time. You say, Tom, I thought you had to have X amount of dollars to work with you. No, that's the other people who do commercials on Saturday during the golf matches and the football games. We'll work with anyone. Of course we work with people. We work with people with millions of dollars. But you're never going to have millions of dollars if you don't start somewhere in building a plan to get your retirement savings on track. And that's what we're talking about in today's show, revamping your retirement in 12 months. You want a quick shot to get you ready? Come in. We can give you a quick shot. It's called a PLAN to get you back on track.
And if you would like a plan in your hands, all you need to do is pick up the phone and call that number you see on the bottom of your screen, 866-709-1462. Or if you'd rather connect online, if you simply pull out your smartphone, you can open up that camera app, just point, click, and scan the QR code that you see there down in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. That will take you over to a landing page, ask you a few short, simple questions, and then a member of the team from 𝗤𝗟 Wealth Management will reach out to connect with you to schedule your complimentary retirement blueprint meeting that way as well. We've got a lot more steps to cover. Stay with us to find out how you can revamp your retirement in just 12 months.
I had been in the ministry and training for the ministry for about 25 years. It seemed every church I would go to, they would put me in charge of benevolence. And benevolence is when people come to the church and they need money. And they were trying to decide to buy food or buy medicine. And the medicine was some new medicine that was effective, so the drug companies might charge a tremendous amount. And we at the church couldn't afford to help them do that. It was difficult. So when I passed my license on June the 8th of 1995, I was sitting down with my two managers in downtown Pasadena. And these guys, they said, "Who do you want to work with?" And I said, well, what motivated me to get my license was I want to work with retirees. They said, why not doctors or lawyers? And I said from the very beginning, I want to work with people to make sure they never run out of money, because I had seen it.
Welcome back to Right on the Money with Tom Mosley. I'm Kristen Oakley, and today Tom and I are discussing the steps you can take to revamp your retirement in just 12 months. Yes, it is possible. Tom and the all-star team of Mosley Wealth Management have helped hundreds of people retire successfully, and often you've helped people who have started later in life or who've had a life-altering event who've really needed to turn things around quickly. So that's why we wanted to devote this show to this conversation. So next up on our list, step number 3, optimize your investment portfolio. This is something that you really are passionate about helping people do.
Yeah, it really is. And I think the key word on this one is risk. And risk is such an important thing that's going on. So many people that have never saved any money, one of the reasons they've never saved any money, they've never gotten involved in the stock market, is because they're afraid of risk. But if you look historically at the stock market, since it started in 1896 with the Dow Jones, it's continually over a period of time gone up. Not every year does it go up, not every 2 or 3 years does it go up, but over a period of time, the stock market does progress, and it's a great place to invest. So let's talk about risk. That's number 3. I would call it risk. One of the things that you would do if you decide to let us help you revamp your retirement and get you on track is we're going to give you a little quiz called 𝗥𝗲𝘃𝗺𝗃. And that 𝗥𝗲𝗃𝗃𝗃 is going to allow you to answer a few questions, not right or wrong answers, but just letting us know where you are and the decisions that you would make. And that allows us to assign a risk score to you. And then we go and we would pick a portfolio that's equivalent to your risk tolerance. You see, you have a risk score and your portfolio has a risk score. And when you really optimize your portfolio, your risk score and your portfolio match. So that's one of the things that we would do. We would do that. The Morningstar report gives us a report on the portfolio that we would put you in and put you there. And we would also look, if you say, well, I've already got a few investments. Good. We run a report on that and we see what the alpha is. You say, wait a minute, you're hitting some terms. All alpha means is, are you getting the bang for your bucks for the risk that you're taking? And that alpha score says that, you're too you're 2% a year better for the risk you're taking than you should be. But most of the time it says you're 3, you're 4, you're 5% lower for the risk you're taking. You're not getting the bang for your buck. So you need to know that. And the other thing that jumps out when we do the analysis on your current portfolio is if we had a dramatic drawdown like we had in 2000 to 2002 and we had in 2008, how far down would your portfolio go where it is right now if we had that similar drawdown? You say, boy, those things would be important to know. That's where it's like when you go to the mechanic. I can listen to my car. It's making a noise.
Right.
That's my extent. But when I go to a mechanic, they put these little computerized things in there, and they can say, it's a 128, it's a P128, you need to do this. And within a matter of minutes, they can say it's a 3-hour job, and the part is this, and they can tell me exactly what it costs to fix it. And that's what we're talking about on the show. How are we going to fix you? How are we going to get you revamped and back on? Well, you need to look at your portfolio and see where it's at right now. Last week, I saw a lady that's trying to grow to retirement, and for 10 years, her portfolio's almost flat because she's not taking any risk. And we did the risk analysis on her,
right?
And she was like a 69. She should be taking more risk, but she got into a vein there where she was just not taking any risk. Optimize your portfolio, make it equal to your risk level. You got to grow.
Yes.
You've got to have time to do that.
Yeah, well, time is on your side still.
It is. You got to have
right?
it. You got it.
Absolutely. All right. Step 4 is minimize the taxes on your retirement income. Again, we could do an entire show just on this subject alone. It is so important because at the end of the day, it's not about how much you have, it's about how much you get to keep. And taxes are one of the biggest threats to your lump sum in retirement.
Yeah, I want to make sure and ask you this question. You may be killing yourself in the long term to save a little money right now. In other words, many of you at work have a Roth option in your 401k, and you say, well, there's a Roth option over there. Or if you don't have anything at work, you've got a Roth option in your IRA. Well, the problem is you're going to have to pay the tax on it now. Historically, taxes are low right now. Good time to pay taxes. Great time to pay tax. Taxes are on sale right now. So many of you right now in optimizing your taxable situation for eventual retirement, rather than putting something away and not paying the tax on it now, letting it grow through the years to a big amount, and then when it comes out, paying the tax on all of that, and the key word there is forever. You're going to pay tax as long as there's money coming out of the regular 401k or the IRA. You may need to revamp your retirement by switching over to the Roth and biting the bullet, paying the tax right now, and keyword, never paying the tax again on the Roth. In your lifetime, in a spouse's lifetime, in your heir's lifetime, never pay tax again on the Roth. So do you want to pay tax on a growing forever bucket? Or do you want to pay tax on a growing never pay tax bucket? I want to go with the Roth, all things being equal. That may be one way. You need to revamp your retirement. Even if you're doing pretty well, you may need to consider revamping your retirement to switch over to the Roth, get the taxes behind you, then you really know how much money you have.
As you were talking, Tom, it made me think of the word diversification and how important it is to make sure that you have tax diversification throughout your full financial plan. So looking at ways that you can create greater tax efficiency, and to your point with those Roth conversions, moving that money from always taxed to never taxed again is a beautiful thing. It can make a big difference.
A big difference, huge.
For sure. All right, next up, step number 5, plan for your healthcare expenses. Again, this is one of the biggest expenses most folks have in retirement. It needs to be planned and accounted for.
Yeah, unfortunately, I have to be the bearer of bad news. It's going to cost you money to get out of here. I just had a lady a couple of weeks ago in my office, and she said, I had to write, when my husband passed away, we had all the medical coverage, we had all the Medicare, we had the Medicare supplement, we had everything, but I had to write a $179,000 check to the hospital once my husband passed away. There's going to be expenses in getting out of here in almost all cases. In almost all cases. Sudden death, tragic death, sometimes it's not as much. But even then, taking a person to the hospital, even if they're there in the hospital for a few hours, I've seen massive amounts of money spent in just a few hours trying to save a life in an emergency room. You're going to have health care. You better be covered for it. I mean, here's one thing that I also see, and this is just something that I'll point out. So many people, they retire at 62, and they say, well, I'm just going to take a chance from 62 to 65, and I'm not going to get health care coverage because it's expensive at that point. And say they make a decision not to get health care coverage. My goodness, you have never at 62 been more likely to need health care coverage than you are at 62. So why go uncovered for 3 years that could run up massive amounts of health expenses by not covering yourself? You can't afford it, no, but you can't afford not to have it. So you've got to revamp it. If you're running a risk by trimming down on what you have for health insurance coverage, and you're trying to make ends meet by trimming on that health insurance coverage, you may be hurting yourself more financially by not having the proper coverage, because the older you get, the more likelihood you're going to need great coverage. Don't go without it.
Yeah, you can't afford to skimp on that. For
Not
sure.
at all.
Yeah.
Not at all.
Well, this is why it's so critical to look at all these pieces and how they fit together. And so if you would like to have your very own complimentary retirement blueprint built for you by the team of Mosley Wealth Management, this is for no cost, no charge, no obligation. It's simply an invitation to have a conversation to see how they can help and serve you. And if this is resonating with you, you want to revamp your retirement in just 12 months, we encourage you to reach out, pick up the phone, call the number you see on the bottom of your screen, 866-709-1462. Or again, you're also welcome to scan that QR code, and that will get you connected as well. We'll be back with more right after this.
Better is just better, but it doesn't begin without a plan. Better, it's the American way, from a better house, to a better career, to a better life for our kids. Americans strive for better. But when it comes to your retirement, what does better mean to you? A better income? A better lifestyle? A better solution? A better retirement begins with a financial plan. To get your complimentary financial plan, call the number you see here. It's your retirement and an opportunity for better.
Welcome back to Right on the Money with Tom Mosley. We are discussing steps you can take to revamp your retirement in just 12 months. We're up to number 6 on our list, which is assessing your housing needs. This is an important one that a lot of folks overlook.
First things we ask, every one of our advisors sits down with you when you come in, and we start by having a script that we go through of asking certain questions. And on the middle of the front page, right after we get who you are and how you found us, we ask about your house and where you're living. And we ask, is this the last house you're ever going to live in? Mm-hmm. And probably 75 to 80% of the time people say, no, it's not. Mm-hmm. Because they're either going to downsize, or they're going to move into an assisted living facility, or they're going to move out of state, either following children. And it's really important that you make the housing decision. And it's really important that you not lock yourself in, so that you have flexibility with your house. Now, one thing, your house may be, particularly in Southern California, the most expensive one item or one account or one value you have in your entire portfolio. So making the right decision is important. I've had a lot of people who've moved to other states and they haven't checked out those other states properly. And here's what happens. You leave here and sell a house. The realtor loves you. You go there and buy a house. The realtor loves you, and the home improvement people love you because you fix the house up. After 6 months to a year, you don't like it where you are, and you decide to come back. Well, the realtor loves you again, and you decide to, oh, you're a homeowner. So you have to buy back into Southern California, and the realtor loves you, and the governor loves you. Why does the governor love you? Because you've lost your Proposition 13 that you might have had with your original house. So moving and make a mistake on moving could be a real mistake. I've also had people come, and in the first 2 decades I did this, and I've done this almost 3 decades. The first 2 decades, a lot of people would come and say, you know, we've never owned a house, we want to buy a house. And now, with interest rates where they are, there's been articles in the Wall Street Journal and other things where right now it's more expensive to buy a house than it is to rent a house. It's more economically feasible to actually rent a house. So this house decision is a big thing. One more thing, and it's just that I've been hit with this a lot here lately. I've had people come in, and you know, I really try to work with people to give them that relaxed retirement and confident retirement, and they're scratching their head, they're pulling their hair out over, oh my goodness, we've got to take care of the house, we've got to repair this, we've got to repair that, we've got to repipe the house, the plumbing is bad, we've got to rework the electrical, the outside plumbing to the street, we had to redo, and it is a real nightmare of a headache to people. So don't just think that that home that's always been the American dream necessarily, when you reach a point physically where you can't take care of it, it might not be the American dream. And in revamping your retirement, you may be pouring so much money into an old house, you may be better off not in that house and revamp your retirement and have a life rather than just a house.
Yeah, the housing decision and situation is so critical for folks to consider in all these different angles. So I'm glad you're bringing that up. All right, next up, strengthen your estate plan. Again, not something that a lot of folks like to think about. A lot of people procrastinate on this piece in particular, but it's so crucial to make sure all of your affairs are in order.
Yeah, because we never know when is when. We always know that beginning date, and we celebrate it every year. It's called a birthday, but we never know the exit date. And if you don't know the exit date, it's best to prepare as though it's coming sooner rather than later. And so I would encourage you, get your trust in order if you own a home. Get your will in order. Get your health care directives in order. I've been brought in recently with people who are trying to make a decision, do we pull the plug on Dad or do we not? Because he never laid it out. He never told us what his wishes were. Listen, the government has an estate plan for you. It's going through probate and making sure, and it'll get to the right people eventually. But they get to glean off their probate money, their probate taxes, and all of those things. You need your own plan. You don't just need your own plan for estate planning. You need your own plan for retirement. And that's what we offer you on this show.
And I know that you are excited to connect with more folks as a result of today's show to help you revamp your retirement. So again, we encourage you to reach out. 866-709-1462 is that number to call to claim your very own complimentary retirement blueprint. Thanks so much for joining us. Be safe, be happy, be blessed, and we look forward to being back with you next time here on Right on the Money with Tom Mosley.